Hey everybody, welcome into Authors Insight with Jake Lynch, the video podcast where we discuss the inside of the mind of Jake's book. We're on episode 4 of 10, highlighting each part of Jake's newest book, Broken to Beautiful, a story about a teenage girl going through tragedy and suicidal thoughts, how she finds God, and how her relationship with God transforms her and other people around her, going from broken to beautiful. You can buy this book on Amazon and Kindle or paperback version, and that audio book is coming out soon, coming in May. That's going to be on Audible. Welcome to the show. I'm Troy Lynch, the older brother of the author himself, Jake Lynch. Welcome to the show, Jake. Welcome.
Thank you. You're too kind.
Yeah. Nobody was clapping but me. Anyway. That's like where we always just put a joke in. Like as soon as like insert joke here.
Oh my gosh.
It's in the script.
It's in the script. I know. It's just
all right,
like
part 4. This is what we're talking about today. It's called The Actress. Obviously, Crystal Henninger, not an actress. Who are we talking about? We're talking about Christina, the actress. She is one of the most pivotal characters in this book, and somebody who's kind of similar to Jamie a little bit, from the outside looks like she has it all, maybe even more. She's always, I feel like some people, you go to high school and there's that one person who's just unlike everybody else. And that's what kind of Christina is. She's already a famous actress. She's going to school. And it's interesting because she's also very broken, needs a lot of help. So who is Crystal, Jake? Or not Crystal, who is Christina? And why was it important for you to put her in your book?
Yeah, so I wanted to include a variety of different characters in the story. I didn't want to write just one type of character for every single person. And when I was thinking of Christina's character, I was thinking, what kind of problem does she have that's like different but also similar to Crystal? And Christina's character essentially is an actress who struggles with identity. And I kind of liked that like character concept of like, well, what do you like? A person who struggles with an identity is also an actor. It's
Right.
like Tropic Thunder. I know who I am. I'm the dude disguised as dude playing the other dude. No, I'm the dude playing the dude disguised as another dude. And
Right.
I'm like,
Normally actors and actresses, like they have such a good grasp, but like, oh, I can play any character because I kind of know how they can feel. I can get into their mind, but she doesn't even know who she is, but she can act and be other people.
yeah. Yeah, and I love that concept because it's something fun to play on because everyone always like loves actors and kids want to grow up and be actors.
Right.
But then you kind of see this character and be like, oh no, here's an actor who's a world famous actor. Like we're talking about Hermione Granger, like world famous. It's like imagine being one of those kids and you're super famous and yet you don't know who you are, essentially. And so I thought she was the perfect character to emulate or to symbolize the struggle for identity of like, who am I?
Right.
And like she is a lot like Jamie to where she's at the top of the world. She's super popular, super beautiful, and yet, you know, you like there's a scene where she goes home to her empty apartment and she's got a massive apartment and has a lot of money, but she lives alone, after her parents got divorced. And so it's just like she's split inside essentially, and it causes her a lot of anxiety. And high schoolers experience a lot of anxiety when trying to find out who am I? It's a basic question, and yet it's more complicated to answer.
Yeah, I think that really brings up two good points. The first one being that like you can literally have it all, like all your dreams. Like I know for me, it was, the dream was being this really major actor and being able to sign autographs and everybody just kind of loves you. But, this is a very real situation because a lot of actors struggle
Yeah.
and they don't know who they are and they struggle with that identity. And Christina has put her identity in her job, which I feel like a lot of people can relate to. It is
Yeah.
hard not to do that, especially if you're passionate about what you do, you went to college for it, you've been in the career. So, and sometimes you can get stuck. But so why did you want to hit that theme so hard, like identity.
I wanted to hit that theme just because I want, like, in each of the characters in the story, I wanted them to touch upon a common problem that a lot of people deal with, or that high schoolers deal with. Like, you have Crystal, who deals with loneliness. You have Jamie, that deals with grief. You have Christina, who deals with uh identity, and these are like some classic problems that high schoolers go through essentially. And so, and there's other characters that touch upon other things, but I also wanted to create characters that were different from Crystal and that helped Crystal in some ways, and Crystal helps them. So like everyone's different, but because they're different, they all are able to help each other in ways they weren't able to do themselves. And that's why I created the friendship between Crystal and Christina. And I love how it progresses. Like, it's awkward at first, but then it grows into something more.
I don't know. You fill gaps. She got gaps. I fill gaps. We fill gaps. Right? Rocky?
Yeah, that's Rocky.
That's exact. Okay. So everybody's so different, but everybody broken. But yeah, I love how they can kind of unite. But we'll get to that. But I want to talk about chapter 29, Two Truths and a Lie. This was a very interesting chapter, but I love the quote at the very beginning that Jamie Fisher says: friendship is a two-way street. Sometimes you have to sacrifice a little on your end in order to have fun. So that kind of sets up Crystal going to this one party that Jamie drags her to. And then all of a sudden, Christina's there and everybody wants to talk to her. But then Crystal and Christina have this opportunity to kind of not necessarily hang out, but like meet each other. And then they end up playing Two Truths and a Lie. And it was really interesting. Why that game and what was the point of it?
Like, it was very fun writing that scene. But like when I made it, I was thinking, like, Christina she's got a poker face on, like she wears that mask. So, and Crystal is like trying to read her at this, and Christina knows that too. And I'm like, wait, there's something kind of going on between these two characters. So it's almost like, how do you lay your cards on the table when no one wants to reveal their cards? And so I put that game in there, and it's like slowly revealing some things about each character and like feeling each other out. And I kind of like it because Crystal is this impassive, like blank face person, but she's really good at studying people. And Christina is an expert, like poker player. She's an actor. She can fake it all. And so you kind of just see these two characters feel each other out and be like, all right, like, how much are they really telling me? Like, are they really telling me the truth or not? And if they revealed something to me. And I just like that first interaction because they're getting to know each other in a very unique way. And I like that.
And I think this was the first time that you really knew that Crystal had potential when it came to talking to other people, because she struggles talking with everybody in normal day life. She's warming up to Jamie. Yeah. Jamie's getting her out of her comfort zone. But then all of a sudden, you've got the most famous person at your school and maybe that anybody really knows around your area. And she's able to talk to her. But like, not only talk to her, it's not necessarily like, hey, let's try to be friends. Crystal has this superpower where she can, like, she sees other people in pain and she can read through those masks. And she's like, don't play games with me.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. And why did you want Crystal to be like that?
Well, just like, frankly, I wanted her to be direct because I kind of hate it when people beat around the bush so much. And Crystal just never had much social interaction. So she's direct with people, like she doesn't like try to beat around the bush. Well, Christina will probably try to beat around the bush, but I wanted to have a character that's more direct. I'm like, no, like, be upfront with me. And it's that directness that catches Christina off guard a little bit, to where she's surprised. She's like, oh, this person's actually being honest with me and is speaking genuinely. And it surprises her because everyone, like, people typically try to take advantage of Christina because she's a famous figure. So when she meets a direct character like Crystal and be like, you don't need to lie to me, it surprises her. And she doesn't know what to do. She's like, oh, this person's genuine. This person's real.
Yeah. And it's interesting because, you mentioned the buildup, and Christina is acting even when she's not on a movie set. And
Yeah.
there's only so much of you not being your true self that you can take until you reach a breaking point, which is the title of chapter 32. Crystal is starting to see Christina deteriorate. And it gets to a point where Christina starting to have a mental breakdown,
Yeah.
passes out in the bathroom. They don't really know each other too well, but Crystal decides to help. I think she had an important test, but was like, I have to help out this person, even though they weren't like friends or anything
Yeah.
yet. Why did you want that scene to develop like that and like show that like because Crystal's a very studious person. Like
Yeah.
the one of the only constants in her life is like her studies. And
Yeah.
like she's a very good student, but she sacrifices that to help out this random person.
Yeah.
Why?
I wanted to put Crystal to the test essentially because to a studious person, a lot of priority is given to studying. But like I thought to myself, like, what's a very awkward situation that a studious person would never want to leave or like would never do? And I'm like, well, like for me, when I was growing up, like missing a test was like unthinkable. Like
Right.
you would never miss a test because that's set your grade back and everything and cause a lot of problems. And so I put Crystal in that situation. Would you suffer personal loss in order to help someone else out with their problems? And that was the test that I put Crystal through because that shows true like generosity and compassion on Crystal's part. Like she's actually like doing more than just living within the confines of her own like comfort. And she's trying to go and help people. So the whole thing was a test for Crystal. And it was the right call because she ended up making a friend. Like, yes, like studying is important, but just like when Jamie takes Crystal out on that sunrise hike, sometimes you have to get out of your comfort zone to go have fun. And so Crystal starts to stand against the norm and she misses a test to go help a friend. And usually people will not do that. They'll be like, no, I got to take this test. I need to get a good grade and just forget about that person. But Crystal doesn't do that, and it turns out to be the right
Yeah, it's
call, and they solidify their friendship more as she ends up helping Christine. Yeah, and
so
she helps Christina
no,
in her dark moment. You
yeah,
know?
and I think it's really interesting because you're almost like reading this and you're like, would I do that? I think like you wrote the scene very well to where it's like, oh, what would I do in this kind of situation? Like if this moment came to me, would I do what Crystal did? Because I think you're reading it and you're like, yeah, that was the right call. But everybody's got different scenarios. Like maybe like you're failing a class and like you see that somebody else that you don't even know. Like I feel like a lot of people, they read that and be like, yeah, that's the right thing to do. But then if it happens in real life, you're like, like did that ever happen to you in high school? Or, you know, you tried to help somebody, or maybe not even in high school, just like in general.
No, that specific scene was created for the story specifically. I didn't have any unique circumstance like that that was crazy or anything, but the scene is meant to be symbolic of would you, like suffer a personal loss to help someone? Would you, bite the bullet to help a friend out, even if you don't know that person?
Mm-hmm.
So it's a test of character.
That's the character and good thing to just kind of take with you in life because I think
Yeah,
a lot of people can see like just like yes, the love of Jesus, but like that's something that you don't forget, no matter how small it is. Obviously,
yeah,
Christina needed the help and she passed out in the bathroom and she still didn't even know really who Crystal was, and Crystal still
yeah.
did it anyway, which I think is really cool. Let's move on to chapter 33. It's titled Connection. Love this quote. What do you place your identity in? Is it your job? Is it your family, your hobbies, or your name? I know from personal experience, I have definitely put my identity in my career before, and that was very prevalent when I was in college. I was like, I knew I went to college because God wanted me to go there, but then I kind of went rogue a little bit, and I was just like so focused on my career. Anything I did was for my career, not necessarily for
Mhm.
God. And I remember like when I started not getting what I wanted, I would self-destruct. My identity was compromised. And so I love this. Um, because there are different people that put like their identity in different things, and obviously Christina
Yeah.
does this. And one of the scenes, Crystal experiments with perfumes, and Christina runs into her at the mall, and so Crystal's trying to get out of her comfort zone. She doesn't.
Yeah.
I think she knows her identity's in Christ, but she's still trying to figure out what that is.
Yeah.
Why was this scene instrumental in the development of Crystal?
I I really like that perfume scene just because it's Crystal trying to like be more girly a little bit. She's like she's never tried this stuff out before, and so she's taken initiative on her own now. Like you're starting to see Crystal take more initiative in a lot of other things now, and it like it's a super cute and slightly funny scene. She's like she tries the perfumes and she accidentally sprays herself, and I just like seeing Crystal start to grow more into herself and start to feel more confident and want to try new things out. And Christina runs into her at that moment. And Christina is excellent at this sort of stuff. She's really good because like Christina loves shopping. She loves like putting on like trying out different clothes and doing all this stuff. And so Christina is an excellent friend in that way because she starts to help Crystal feel more beautiful and confident in herself, while Crystal starts to help Christina like have a friend and be there and be honest with her for someone who like believes everyone is just lying to her. So I love that start off scene. It's just a I wanted to put that scene in there. I don't know fully why I did when I was like originally writing it, but I'm like, I gotta have this scene in there. And I just love how it took off from there.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it when you say took off, it their friendship really started to spark, which
Yeah.
is great because this is the first real, I want to say, girlfriend
Yeah.
that Crystal has. Like she had Carmen, but she was more of like a role model, older sister figure,
Yeah.
but wasn't like always a part of the equation. It was almost like she was her friend because she was like the leader of the Bible study and had to talk to
Yeah.
everyone. But like Christina, the most unlikely of friendships,
Yeah.
develops with Crystal.
Yeah.
And I think that's amazing. Like there are so many people in my life where like I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm like the exact opposite of that person, but
Yeah.
we are friends. And it's almost like we are friends because we are so opposite. And it's like fun to get that um just different perspective. You love
Yeah.
that. You'll learn a lot. You almost need it in order to just be more well-rounded
Yeah.
and not so narrow-minded. You just really expand in so many ways. But so Crystal and Christina, they get each other's numbers, start to text a little bit, but
Hmm.
and what was it? Crystal invites Christina to dinner, and
Yeah.
then there's this scene where like they're braiding each other's hair,
Yeah.
and it's really somber, and I love it. Can you like just take us through this scene? And it was very well written. Like I remember we were all talking with our family, and they're like, "Yeah, that hair braiding scene really stuck out to me." You know, what was going through your mind when you wrote this?
Well, I don't know why, but I always wanted to have that hair braiding scene in there. Like the concept was always there even before I wrote the scene. And it was just like, it's a very innocent type of concept, essentially. And like, it's hard to describe because there's like physical elements in there, but then emotional elements in there. And so there's just something about when like a friend is braiding another friend's hair and they're talking while they're doing it too. Like it's one of the ways that Christina is like helps Crystal out because she is like braiding Crystal's hair and like it's a tender moment between the two of them. It's like it's establishing more of their like friendship and connection together, and it causes them to keep talking. And then Crystal ends up liking the new hairstyle that Christina does for her. So Christina helps Crystal feel more beautiful, and Crystal helps Christina open up a lot more. And I just love how that scene is written because it's just so innocent. You're like, no, no, there's nothing more going on in this. Like it's very foundational. And you just see these two people who are like, I'm messed up and you're messed up, but I'm glad that we're here to help each other out. And I like just that whole chapter is like a favorite of mine. I love when Crystal and Christina like go shopping together because Christina's like, I saw your closet. It's horrible. We need to get you some more clothes. And Chris is like, okay, sure. And they try on a bunch of different dresses and stuff. And like they do girly stuff together. And then Crystal has Christina over and like, invites her to dinner, and like it's slowly breaking down Christina. Like that whole chapter was slowly like getting Christina to start opening up more until she was finally ready to just talk to someone. And I love that. She's kind of a tough nut to crack because she believes everyone's always trying to just manipulate her because, like when you're a famous actor, trust is a rare commodity. And so Christina like finally can trust someone now and find that she can help other people too when she braids Crystal's hair. It's just such a beautiful and tender moment. You're like, you want to think too much about it, but you don't need to think too much about it.
Did mom cry when she read that?
I can't remember if she cried when she read that.
That was like one of her favorite scenes, and I forget. We'll have to ask. But
I know. And it's ironic because it's like I'm a guy writing about a scene of two girls braiding each other's hair. So people ask me about that a little bit. They're like, I remember on a previous podcast, the host asked me, "Is like, did you braid your hair with your sisters?" And I'm like, I don't have any sisters. I had to do a little. I did a little homework, but like back in college when I was at InterVarsity,
Yeah.
I had a couple of friends and they were braiding each other's hair, and I'm like, "Could you teach me how to braid hair?" And they're like, "Sure," and it was really fun.
They didn't like question. They're like, "What?"
No, they were like, "Yeah, let's teach you."
Yeah, all right. I feel like girls are like that sometimes. Like they see some guy, like they like take some sort of interest in what
Yeah,
like the girly things they're doing. And they're like, yes,
yeah,
let
yeah.
us teach him our ways. Um, who's that girl? Chapter 34. That's the title. And this is an interesting scene.
Hmm.
Super great for Crystal, but then at the end of it, you're like, what's going on? Like, huh? So Jamie hosts this black tie event. Apparently
Hmm.
does it like every single year. And then he sees this beautiful woman appear. And she comes in. And Jamie's like, who's that girl? I don't know why I'm getting German all of a sudden. That's weird. But
Well,
it's Crystal.
it's Crystal,
And Jamie's like, what?
right?
And like wants to dance and like it's super intimate. And the whole time I'm like, well, are we gonna see this romance pick up or something like that? So you kind of confused me when I was reading it.
Yes, I did.
Was that the point?
I mean, I wasn't targeting you personally, but
Oh,
at the
all
same
right.
time, but
This
I
will confuse
know,
Troy.
like I knew that I know what people will expect when they're reading the story. I'm like, you have these two characters who are dancing in each other's arms. And it's like, I love the part where it says he leans his head down and then lies it on her shoulder. And I'm like, I feel like that's just the drop off. It's like everyone's like, oh
Yeah.
man. And I'm just like, yep, I did that on purpose. And I love how I just strung you along, Troy, and how you're just like, come on, when are these two characters gonna get together or whatever?
I know.
And yeah, but going into that scene when Christina like talks to Jamie, and she's like, yeah, wait for the real show. And like Jamie sees Crystal and she looks beautiful. And in that scene, like you really start to see like Crystal like start to become the butterfly that she is and be like, oh, like this loner girl is actually pretty. And she's starting to feel pretty for the first time as well, thanks to Christina's help. And then like Crystal and Jamie get to dance together. And it's nothing like crazy, but it's like for some reason, just like the two of them holding each other there, they both know that they're hurting, and yet just being in each other's presence and holding the other person there is healing for the other for each of them. And I just love that tender moment, and I choose to keep it innocent and like not have, any romance, or not a ton of romance in that scene, but it develops the connection even more between these two. I like to focus more on developing the connection between the characters rather than just going straight into a romance, because you need that foundation to build upon that. And I love how Jamie just slowly starts to fall for this girl, this loner girl who's never known before. And yet she's starting to make a difference on other people's lives because they start to see her changing. Crystal's actually starting to become more beautiful by the day. And they see it and they want to change too. So it's that living example and just ministry of presence, just being there for someone is enough to help a person. You don't need to say anything. Like, they don't really say anything when they're dancing. They're just holding each other there. And sometimes you just need someone to hold you.
And the music,
So
it's that you
the
chose.
music.
And obviously you can't hear it when you're reading the book, but I believe it's a long time. I forget who it was, but you essentially chose the same music at the end of Avengers Endgame when Captain America Steve Rogers reunites with Peggy Carter, and that was their romance, and that's how the movie ends. And
Mhm.
it's a great song because, but the chorus, I believe, is like, "It's a long, long time." And
Nice
so
job.
why? Yeah, thanks. Sorry, I had to put you through that, everybody. But why that song?
It's this simple, slow song. Like, I didn't want anything too complicated. It's a song that everybody knows because a lot of people have seen Avengers Endgame. And it is like a simple, slow slip song. I didn't want to make a huge spinny, twirly whirly dance scene wherever. I'm like, no, just keep it calm and simple. And it worked. And I love that scene because it creates the perfect setting.
I love it.
Yeah,
It
I love
was.
it.
We still didn't know what was going to happen next with Jamie and Crystal.
That's right.
That's why I got to keep reading.
You got to
The
keep
next
reading.
part 5, the suck up.
The
That's going to
suck
be
up.
episode 5 next week. But Jake, before we wrap things up, do you have any last words to give the audience?
Yeah, just like friendship is a two-way street, and you give what you get what you give. And just like Crystal invested in Christina, Christina then began to invest into Crystal. So you know we need to be more intentional about our friendships. And like, you can't just expect people to be the best friend with you. Like, you have to be the best friend to them. And this is an example of what that's like. Crystal helped Christina out, and Christina helped Crystal out. And I know that their names are very similar. I don't know how that happened. It just happened. But yeah, we have to be intentional about our friendships.
Amazing. We love friendships. We love it when they're intentional, and we love bringing you episodes like this every single week. Like I already said, next week, part 5, the suck up. But before, we need to let you know that the Chronicles of the Lost Saint is coming out this summer, the newest series that Jake has written. You're not going to want to miss that. But in the meantime, thank you so much for watching Author's Insight with Jake Lynch, and peace out and love on.